Hello and welcome to our D&D painting stream here on Dice and Dungeons. I'm Nichole, and I paint D&D miniatures here on the show. My dad will be joining shortly to paint alongside me, and we're gonna keep diving through our dungeon minis here. Depending on where we get, we might do some extra stuff, do a couple other things, but there's a whole lot of dungeon tiles that we're getting through that needs to be painted. I have here a little visual example of the process that we use. These dungeon tiles are all printed here on these 3D printers behind me, and we, if you're interested in the designers of these minis, then you can check out our website, diceanddungeons.com, and under the Attributions tab, you can find all of the designers that we use there. So when we print these, they come out in multiple pieces, and we glue them together to create the basic dungeon tile, which looks like this. This has been primed, but nothing else so far. We do, in these bases, put magnets so that they sort of pop together and help hold each other, like that, just for ease of use. So when they first come out, they look like this guy, basically, once we glue them all together. Then we do a base coat. In this case, we're doing a gray dungeon set, so a nice gray base coat like this. Then we will add detail work. In this case, we put some extra gray bricks in on each of them. Oh, I already got us water, thank you. And then we do finishing work. In this case, we use a black wash to make the stones look dark and everything like that. You can still see those dark bricks in there, but they're a little more faded in, and they just add a lot of visual interest. So here's a little through the process dungeon set as an example. So we have a few pieces that are primed and still need a base coat here. These two gray walls, this one and this one, both have, well, this one, yeah, that's what I thought, it was just stuck. These two have slightly loose walls out of the 200 some pieces that we glued. We had two pieces that ended up being a little looser than I like. So if you're up for it, if you're up for it, which you might not be, swallowed something.
Yeah.
Then it would be great if you could reglue these walls and put base coats and gray bricks on all of those pieces, get them ready to go. I'm gonna be doing finishing work. We have just shy of 50 of these wall and floors that I might work on. Otherwise, I might instead do all the more interesting, intricate, odd pieces before I tackle the pile of walls and floors that we have.
I'll make these gray, and then glue these, and then do dark bricks.
What I'll probably work on is we have all of these big, interesting pieces over here. A variety of shapes. Things like arrow slits and windows and these sort of hall termination pieces. I'm going to try and dig through our irregular pieces basically today.
So I'm going to make some things gray.
We also have a bunch of short floor walls. And I'm gonna see if I can right angle the camera slightly if you just don't mind hiding your pop can. There we go. That way people can see what you're doing as well a little better.
A little better. I'm making these things gray. Wearing a glove like Nikki did because
it will get messy. Alright, so I have about 1.5 million pieces here. All piled up. I'm gonna grab a glove quick from our glove chair. It's always important to have all your gloves stored on a random chair.
mm-hmm.
That's not actually a necessity. Just how we do it. Alright, so what I have here is a huge selection of pieces, all that need to be washed. And I'm just gonna get to it and start going through one little group at a time. If you're interested in seeing, once these are all done, at some point we'll be playing Dungeons and Dragons in these different settings. If you're interested in seeing that, we do a D&D stream on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern here on our Twitch channel at DysonDungeons.com. Or not Dyson Dungeons, twitch.tv/DysonDungeons. And you can see us using all these pieces. So
I got a little blob of paint on me. I have to clean this off.
Oh, on your shirt?
Mm-hmm.
At least you're wearing a gray shirt.
Yeah, it's hard to find. I mean, not the shirt, but it's hard to find.
Do we have a cool bard? Well, we have a cool bard, but the player is not cool. Definitely, I'd say that's probably what it is. I don't think he's ever done a flip in the show. So, you know, how cool can you be? Alright, and I'm going to be using black wash today on these tiles, which will be accumulating over here. And yeah, he better, because he has to top that. That was a flip. Alright. I am going to be using plenty of black wash today, so I'm just going ahead and getting a nice, relatively full cup of it. I'm sure I'll have to reload this, but black wash is just a very extra thinned, extra wet paint that is good for creating sort of a translucent darkening effect. Seeping into cracks, making variation kind of subtly in a piece. And it has some techniques that you sort of develop with it, but it's a fairly forgiving type of paint that, in that you can, while it's still wet, manipulate it quite a bit. You can wipe it off, you can add more to it. All sorts of things like that. What I'm trying to do here is I don't want this to look like it's black stone, like a dark gneiss or something. I want a dark gray stone effect, but I want some variation in it. So I like to get some coverage on first. And then I'll go back over and sort of break up any brush marks, get some variation sort of spotted into it. Things like that. And this brush has a tendency to fill up very quickly. It's a very absorbent brush, but has its advantages, but also it can be a bit much sometimes. Sorry. A little tickle in the back of my throat there. And I'm trying to regulate the amount. Yeah. I actually do like bards quite a bit as a class. They're very fun, interesting class to play.
You're bardic.
So there's like a little finished piece. It's a little shinier than it will be because it's still a little wet, but there's these little short corners that I'm doing. Alright. Looking alright. You can often get a lot of movement and spread out of just a little bit of wash because it's so thin. It will tend to sort of accumulate in some areas. You can see there's some darker spots on this floor. I'm actually interested in leaving those. I'm not using it just as a shader, but I'm also looking to sort of build an effect out with it of sort of these, you know, imperfect modeled stones. I used the same exact thing when I did a big scorpion, but I was much more deliberate about its use because I was using it for shading and darkening certain areas that I wanted darkened and not in others. Whereas I'm going for more of a cohesive effect in these. And you can see the unwashed versus the washed version, just how drastic of a difference that makes. Having that darkening effect. So, and if you're interested in seeing like the scorpion, the whole process of making these, we are getting everything uploaded on YouTube now, and it's you know, there's a big backlog, so it's there's a lot suddenly coming up, but you'll be able to just sorry, that tickle's still there. You'll be able to just go and check out like I want to see the dungeon set videos if you want. Yeah, better. Was there a lot of paint that big?
There's big round
If you
ones.
hold it over a little, he's doing a very large round corner that they just take a lot. There's a lot of surface area on those. We have two of those, and yeah, they take a bit.
It's like at least 3 of the ball-sized ones.
All in one. But I think they look pretty cool. So. And what you can't really see, and I'm gonna keep knocking over water as I try to adjust cameras. trying to adjust the camera properly so that, because we have this long, low angle. It's a little hard to see what you're doing sometimes. Do you have any paper towels down here?
Mm-hmm. On the glove chair.
Alright. I'm gonna really quickly try and get this off of my brush so it doesn't dry on the brush. And then I'll go.
There's a little piece you can use for now.
Because I don't necessarily want a brush that's all clumped up and dried, but I also need to go get paper towel. That's what I get for trying to adjust things while working. But at least now you can see what you're doing, because you were off camera where you're sitting.
Was I?
Yeah.
I'm almost always off camera, I think, here.
Mm-hmm. And you're pretty far from the mic, so you have to talk louder than you feel like you should, too. We're working on making a different setup, but it's one of those works in progress. Okay.
Did a water spill?
Yeah, the camera hit it. Alright. Luckily, it mostly fell onto already existing paper.
Okay, so those things are gray now. I will clean this brush and then mix up a little bit of epoxy
For these two walls,
2 walls that need to be
repaired.
redone.
And that's a fairly simple fix. They just, for whatever reason, didn't adhere. They might have been at the end of the curing period when they got put on, you know, trying to get one too many pieces in a single setting. Stuff like that. It happens, and it's an easy fix.
Yeah, just need to break them off, clean off the epoxy so it doesn't...
One of the nice things with all of this model making is most of it is a relatively easy fix. It's a matter of, just repaint a little, reglue a little, things like that. It's hard to make a mistake that you can't fix with a lot of models. So that's something that I feel like a lot of people who are new are very worried about painting the wrong thing, but it's just a matter of repainting it if you don't like it. Kinda nice in that regard.
I'm just chipping off the lumps of the old epoxy here.
Bards do reference very up-to-date memes, like the one that you used. One that I certainly have heard within the last 5 years, uttered by anyone. Alright.
Got my essential epoxy tool.
A stick?
potential epoxy mixing base, piece of paper, high-tech tools.
We're having a lot of gravity problems today, is what's happening. I think is going on. Well, one thing I think we really need to do is clean up the work area a little bit. Get like a paint rack of some sort to store all of these bottles on.
Yeah, so that they're not just laying all over the place.
Things like that. You know, having everyone works in a different environment better than others. But I think, and I usually don't mind a slightly messy environment where I know where things are, but it doesn't really have any rhyme or reason. That personally doesn't really bother me, but even then, sometimes it hits a point where you're just like, I really need to clear this up a little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that probably shouldn't be here, like finished figures that could get painted over or dropped.
Mm-hmm. Those should go get put away on the shelf.
15 Q-tips for some reason.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm sure there was some reason.
Hi there. Yeah. You know, knowing what sort of space you work best in is an important thing to learn about yourself. And as much as I like a messy environment, I am kind of finding myself tripping over things easily, and that's a sign that I need to pare it back a little.
You know, pare it back?
Pare back the chaos.
Oh, I thought you said pare it back.
Pare it?
I could pare it back. I had to say something.
What?
Rock?
There you go.
There you go.
Oh my god, don't do this for the rest of the stream.
Don't do this for the rest of the stream.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Boy.
Look.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. How long will this go on?
Oh, it just stopped, thankfully.
Shouldn't have said pare it back.
I said pare it back.
Exactly. Pare it back.
Reduce the amount of clutter. That's what I was trying to say.
That's different. Okay, so gloves, let those set. I had gone up and primed some things in the garage where there was some ventilation.
Mm-hmm. Generally, especially when you're working with a sprayed sort of paint, where it's sort of aerosolized, you want to do it in a very ventilated area.
I'm going to go up and get those.
We had some barrels, crates, and chests that recently got printed.
And then I'll come down and dark gray some of these random spots.
And depending on how far we get, we might do those as sort of the next little thing we do on the show. But I doubt we're going to get through this huge pile of dungeon pieces.
Yeah, I could work on those as well.
You can, yeah, you can also be washing some of these to get through the pile.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could.
Or you can work on the crates and barrels.
Well, I'm gonna go get them because they're out in the garage.
But ultimately, they all need to be done, so whatever you're in the mood for, basically, is totally fine. So, I'm getting all these little short walls finished out. Making quite a large set. I think we have somewhere between 200 and 250 separate dungeon tiles that make up all of these things. This single big set, but the reason we made it so big and complicated was to be able to break it up and use it in piecemeal sort of ways, and the more pieces you have, the more kind of options and variety you can build into whatever set you're making. That's why we like to make a nice big set like this before, even if we have no plans to use any specific part of that design, just by getting that wide variety and number of pieces in place gives you a lot of opportunity to create interesting battlefields and scenarios for your D&D characters to be in. Going along. So I think I have 3, 6, 9, 10 more of these little. So it looks like there's about 14 or 15 of these little single wall sections. Thank you for grabbing those.
Mm-hmm.
Get a glove off the glove chair.
Yeah, I'm gonna do these the dark gray bricks first.
Get the dark gray in so that every piece we have is ready to go for finishing.
Might as well finish that part.
Where did you set the pieces we just brought down?
They're in the bin on the stool to your left.
Okay. I grabbed some so people can see what's down the road. And these are pieces we have painted before, but it's one of those you can never, it's in Dungeons and Dragons sets and stuff, you can never have too many chests and little doodads and all that. So we have a selection of crates. Nice little, well, I guess these would be sizable crates in D&D scale. Some barrels. And a couple of varieties of chests. They're a little hard to make out because they are all just black primer right now. But once they're painted, they look very nice, I think. Alright, so onward with the job at hand of getting all of these dungeon tiles finished. And I do like this step a lot because when I'm done with it, I know that piece is done for good. It's not like when you're doing the base coats or putting all those bricks in as Dad is doing right now. You're like, okay, well, that was a lot of work, but I still have more to do. This part, you get to be like, that piece is done. So, I do enjoy this part of the process a bit more than the others. And the main thing with all of these pieces is just triple checking that you've done every single side, because it's quite easy to miss a side.
You know, especially pieces that have many sides, like the little hallway pieces.
Mm-hmm. So you can probably see here, these are 5 of the same piece, but with that little brick variation and then some of the variation in the wash. They look like they belong together, but they don't all match identically. And that's sort of our goal, is subtle variation within a greater uniformity is sort of the ultimate goal of creating a nice sort of dungeon set, I think, in my personal opinion. Unless you're making a dungeon that's like a weird wizard that made everything look identical.
Mm-hmm.
By literally copying it with magic.
Where it's like the Empire and Star Wars.
Uh-huh. Where it's all been manufactured in the same exact like factory.
Mm-hmm. And everything is always kept spotless.
Yeah.
They have the shiniest floors.
Yeah, I have little mouse droids for it. To clean them up, little Roombas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's impressive because they're shiny but not slippery.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're
super I mean, I don't know, you see stormtroopers fall over.
Yeah, but they're stormtroopers. They're designed to do that. It's in their programming.
They're not programmed.
Mm-hmm.
They're conscript.
Oh, yeah, but they go through, I'm sure they go through some sort of training.
That's true.
Where they're told, make sure you never hit your target and that you get hit yourself.
And then fall over a lot. And bump your head on the doors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a blooper in one of the, well, it's not even a blooper, it's just in the background in one of the original, I think in the first Star Wars movie. There's a stormtrooper in the background who walks through a door and just goes thunk.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't quite get through the door.
Yeah, just hits his head on it.
You know, that's what comes from cloning.
Oh, those aren't clones.
No, they're not?
Not at that point in time. After the Clone Wars ended and the Galactic Empire is formed, after only a couple of years, really, they move away from clone troopers into a conscripted force from around the world, around the galaxy. Because while they're less good, they're cheaper.
Conscripts. So that's why you should have an all-volunteer
army. Well, I guess it depends on how evil your empire is. But probably yes.
Are there any...
Or you be like the Republic and you go, we don't need an army. Because the Republic didn't have a standing army before the Clone Wars. Because they basically, outside of a couple outer rim, some places in like the outer rim and stuff, they basically constituted everyone and everything. So, why need a standing army?
Mm-hmm. When all there is you.
Yeah.
So isn't that what the Empire was trying to do? If the Empire was everything, would they be able to disband their army?
Well, no, because the Empire, rather than leading through democratic process, led through fear and military force.
Which we're finding out is a superior form of government.
If you're talking real world, probably, yeah. But, you know, it's a science fiction fantasy setting, so you're allowed to get away with some idealism. That's why everyone was so caught off guard, sort of. At least when you're not Palpatine, that they suddenly had a clone army because he secretly worked with the Jedi Master Sifo Dyas to channel money into creating a clone army because Palpatine manufactured the whole clone war and needed the Republic to have a military to fight against the droid armies of the Separatists and the Trade Federation. So he secretly conscripted through the Jedi a massive clone army from the Caminos in order to be able to fight a fake war, which would lead to so much instability and uncertainty that as Grand Chancellor, he could declare the First Galactic Empire. And so democracy dies to thunderous applause.
Thanks to Jar Jar Binks.
Yes, exactly. It all comes down to Jar Jar Binks, who, when working as senator in Amidala's stead while she was in hiding, suggests that Palpatine become Supreme Chancellor and get a whole bunch of extra judicial powers in order to combat the Separatist threat. And I think nominates him.
Yeah, he nominates him.
Yeah, so that's why I personally subscribe to the theory that Jar Jar Binks is actually Darth Plagueis and is secretly a Sith Lord.
So where'd you come up with the name Plagueis?
Darth.
Is that in the...
Don't you know this? You've never heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise, have you?
No.
The Jedi wouldn't tell you. It's not...
No, I'm not up on all of this.
It's not a Jedi story. Palpatine tells the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise to Anakin while they're at the weird bubble opera in Episode 3. Revenge of the Sith, or...
So is that the one who had like power
over life itself, by means some would call unnatural.
Okay.
Darth Plagueis the Wise was Darth Sidious's master, but Darth Sidious betrayed him and killed him in his sleep.
Darth Sidious is that good that he could kill someone while he was sleeping?
Well, Darth Sidious is Palpatine.
I know, but you said he killed him in his sleep.
Yeah. He murdered him while he was sleeping.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if he was really that good and powerful that he could murder someone while he was sleeping.
I mean, it doesn't take a lot to... If you have a lightsaber to murder someone while they're sleeping.
No, while you're sleeping. If you're sleeping, how do you go about murder?
No, well, Darth Plagueis was sleeping.
See, there was an ambiguity in that.
So,
you would think that someone who is that powerful would be a little bit more concerned and maybe have bodyguards or at least a droid watching out.
Well, he probably did.
Like a watch droid.
Yeah, like R2 in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, sitting in Amidala's room. Or Padme's room. She's not Queen Amidala at that point. She's Senator Amidala. Yeah. I mean, he probably did. But, Darth Sidious was his trusted apprentice. If you ignore the fact that the Sith have a long history of getting killed by their apprentices.
Yeah. It seems to be how succession is. with regularity.
Mm-hmm. It's not a flawed system, but it's a system that works. It is a flawed system, but it's the system that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although I imagine the Sith look at it.
You know, it assures an unambiguous succession anyway.
Yeah, unless you secretly survive, like Darth Maul. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he secretly survived an assassination.
Well, he got cut in half by Obi-Wan and survived. If you watch the TV shows.
No, I haven't seen those. I guess I missed that bit.
Yep. After he kills Qui-Gon Jinn in the first one, he gets cut in half by Obi-Wan and falls down into a deep pit where he kind of like loses his mind for a bit and gets confused about who he is, and he replaces the bottom part of his body with like a big spider droid body, and he eventually regains his memories and all that, and he really wants to kill. Oh, hi. We are, this is me. I'm painting I'm putting the wash on all of our dungeon pieces as we chat about Star Wars. My dad over here is painting, the gray bricks. Highlight bricks on the pieces, like that. And we're just chatting about Star Wars while we're doing it, but, this is for a big dungeon set. That might be obvious, I don't know. For a Dungeons and Dragons game that we stream here on this channel. So
Nikki's kind of a Star Wars expert, and I'm just going to be asking silly and naive questions to highlight her knowledge. Is there anything else you want the viewers to be?
No, I was just talking about Darth Maul. Basically.
Yeah. So Darth Maul came back as a half mechanical spider thing.
Yeah, he eventually got humanoid legs after he sort of regained his memories.
Yeah, he just like picked those up at the body parts store.
Well, there's actually a pretty long history of robo-modding, of droid modding in Star Wars. Oh. No. Yeah, I was just sort of idly chatting about Star Wars. We're not voicing over. This is a live painting we're doing right now, actually.
Yeah, we're actually live.
Sure. But I understand that because I was just sort of rambling. Yeah. So we just sort of filling in time and chatting about stuff while we get through. I have a lot of dungeon tiles we're working on. We're making a set that's about 200-ish pieces, maybe 250. So I run out of things to talk about that I'm actively doing when I'm doing the same thing over and over, and I just start rambling about whatever.
Yeah, I help with that. If you want to, the last episode, we rambled on about what should have or should not have turned gold.
Oh, with King Midas. Yeah, we you can't see them right now because my dad here is in front of the printers, but we have a couple 3D printers behind us, and these are all they're 3D printed in pieces. We use a PLA printer for these, which is sort of a plastic deposit, as opposed to, I don't know how much you know about 3D printing, but everyone's experience levels are different, but PLA is like it deposits a thin strip or thread of plastic and builds it up rather than a resin printer, which actually uses infrared and like pulls out upside down, prints it upside down and pulls it out by hardening resin using UV light. But these are all done with PLA. If we look at like this piece, for example, the wall here is a piece that was printed, the floor is a piece that was printed, and then the base that it's sitting on was also a printed piece. Yeah, I know, resin is a bizarre thing. We're looking at getting a resin printer at some point so we can make like monsters and stuff, because the resolution is just so much higher on a resin printer. But it requires a lot of safety procedures because it's rather toxic that we're not quite ready to jump into yet. But we glue magnets in these bases so that they hold together with one another like that. So when we use them as a dungeon tile in D&D, the whole piece kind of helps keep itself together. Yeah. But resin, it took me a while to even understand the concept of resin, if I'm honest, where it's like pulling up from the vat of resin, and confuses. Yeah, exactly. It's very confusing. And it's like hardening the resin in very, very, very specific areas with UV light. Which I think they actually use in some dentistry too, don't they? Mm-hmm. Where they put in a resin for like a filling, and then they shoot it with UV light in order to harden it. And I was holding this piece, so I started paint.
That's why when they do that, they give you these yellow goggles. In case you happen to open your eyes so you don't get blinded.
Oh, by the UV light.
Yeah.
I just did this piece because I was holding it, but I was working on these. The black wash we have here, it's a Vallejo black wash, just a simple Vallejo model black wash. That's what we're using right now. And we have, this is also black wash. They call it game wash, but it's also Vallejo brand. We're painting in acrylics because it's just a lot easier and less less toxic and dries quicker. So for a set piece like this especially, those are more valuable for what we're doing. Oh, they use 3D printing in Invisalign. That's right, who you had in Invisalign, so you know a bit more about it. It's funny, there's a lot of crossover between some making stuff and then medical stuff sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So do you want me to do black wash on other stuff now?
Feel free, yeah. If you're all done with your
with
prep work.
Yep. I have these, the ones that were broken are re-epoxied, the rest are highlighted. So
yeah, we'll grab whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll just grab a bunch of walls and start washing.
3D dirt printing. Like printing in dirt? I mean, yeah, I guess you could actually. The printers, yeah, you could see them for a second, right there. They have multiple nozzles, and they can print in ABS as well. And we can also print in, I think it can do wood and metal printings, but we don't have an annealing oven for the metal right now because they're a bit pricey. So we haven't tried that yet. Because after you print in like a brass or something, you have to anneal it in basically a metalworking oven. In order. Yeah, but we have 3 or 4 bottles of black wash as backup. So that's a bit pricey, and yeah, they are they are not cheap. We definitely looked into it, and we're like, maybe someday. We'll probably jump into resin before we get into metal printing, but and I'm not even like, I know a bit about 3D printing, but my wife is actually the big 3D printer, who does all the slicing and stuff like that, all the file preparation. I mostly do the making of it, the gluing together and the printing and painting with my dad here.
Way too much on it.
But you know, I've picked it up over time, from her, just watching what she's doing, talking about it, all that. And I do like PLA because it's like a biodegradable plastic, things like that. So, because you do get, we often print on rafts and stuff where you have some waste, and I feel better about that than dumping like ABS or resin. Yeah. Do you do 3D printing, or are you like just an enthusiast? Because I know these printers are sort of low mid-range. They're like mid-range, upper mid-range printers, I think, according to my wife. Yeah. Well, we play D&D a lot, but my wife actually got a 3D printer just because she likes it. She thinks it's cool. And then we were like, you know, we have a 3D printer. Why don't we print out dungeon pieces? Because dungeon pieces like this, they're expensive if you're buying them, especially buying them painted. And you know, we're able to produce these for a fraction of the cost if you were buying them online in most places. No, it's alright. Just get a little less on your brush.
Hardly any on the brush.
Dry off and see. So it's going on about like that. And then I just do one splash for the whole thing. It depends on where you're buying from, but I'd say a set of, like, let's say they're usually sold in like a room, a dungeon room, and probably a piece with 20 tiles like this would be unpainted. I want to say it's like, it ends up being like $5 or $6 a tile often. And that's usually before painting. I haven't looked in a while because we've been making ourselves, so I haven't felt the need to shop for them. But yeah, you're paying like $5 or $6 a tile, and then you have to paint them yourself. And you know, we can produce these for half that or less, depending on the piece. So when we got that 3D printer, that first one, you know, we've been planning an Etsy store to sell these, and try and, you know, price them reasonably once you factor all the shipping in, and be a little cheaper than some of the bigger names out there. Because, you know, we're just a small operation. But yeah, we're actually working on an Etsy store right now. It takes a lot of work to plan it all out, so I'm not sure when we're gonna open it, but that's definitely on our radar, is selling pieces like this. So here's an arrow slot. This is sort of a fortress set that we're making. And then there's also like a window here. But it's something I would like to do in the future here. And for now, we're just using them in our D&D stream that we do. But you know, I find this fairly relaxing to do. is all of these. How do you print in 2 colors? You generally will need a special printer to do that, I think. If you want to print like this, to do it properly, you need a printer that has 2 heads on it, so you can have the 2 different colors of plastic equipped at the same time, so that it can swap. And then it's just down to the programming of the design itself in the software that you upload. You know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the most proficient at the printing part of it compared to my wife, but the from what I understand of it, yeah, 3D printers, I think basic ones can cost a couple, like $100-200. The like really simple basic ones that only have certain functionalities. But I think, like, if we're looking at something, I don't know how familiar you are with like Hero Forge and stuff. They do a lot of very custom printing for like characters, D&D character figures, and I'm sure they have like machines that cost industrial prices, probably like $10,000. But they have some really cool stuff where they print all sorts of colors now, and that's like built into it, so you don't have to paint it. It doesn't look quite the same. Yes, I am left-handed. Thank you. I'm a big left-handed, pro left-handed person, so thank you for noticing. Only a couple people in my family are left-handed, so this is just out, isn't it?
Whatever you got out of there is it.
All right.
I've got a bunch of this.
No, that's totally fine. We have.
So you never know where you find left-handed people. For example, we discovered for Christmas that all of the rats who worked for Scrooge.
I think part of what you're running into is
keepers.
Oh yeah, in Muppet Christmas Carol.
All of them were left-handed.
I think something we're seeing is at the bottom of the bottle. There's a lot more pigment.
Yeah. So it takes a whole lot less. I mean, we could dilute it a little if you wanted.
It might be worth diluting because it's coming out very dark from the bottle.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We've been using that bottle of primer of wash for months.
A while.
And I think there's just some collection in the bottom. I'm actually gonna pull some of this off.
Yeah, I've been kind of wiping it too. I don't know what else to do about these. If they're too dark, we'll just repaint them.
I would... let me see what I can do. And yeah, need to get along the edge a little more. Yeah, I'll just lighten them up a little by pulling some of the wash away.
Yeah, if you want, you could put a little alcohol on the...
Really, it's not all that bad. But
I'm going to put a little... I think I'll just put a drop of water in it and see how...
Yeah, it really changes the... I feel like it makes it a lot more depth when you compare it to the unwashed one. So we're just thinning out.
Seeing if that makes a difference.
Because it's coming out a little too dark from...
compared to the earlier ones, anyway.
And it might be that we just don't want to use the last bit of wash here if it's too grainy and too pigmented. Yeah, I really like the effect that the wash has especially for a dungeon terrain like this, where it goes from looking a little, I think, cartoonish to a much more gritty, realistic look. But having a little trouble with the consistency at the bottom of the bottle here. And that's one thing you should always check in if you're painting. Yeah, sometimes we do we don't do a whole lot of flocking because it tends to fall off sometimes when especially if you're moving figures around on it. But I'm gonna set that there for a second. We did a sewer set that we did sort of an algae green on. I can grab a couple pieces.
Yeah, that's worth looking at. That's pretty cool, the way that came out.
Just figure out what shelf it's on. Oh, that's all out here.
She'll be back.
So I have a big bucket of pieces here. So we have flocked trees like this that we use. 3D printing a tree is just really, really, really hard, and it never looks quite right. So we use train set trees to get sort of a better tree effect. We also have this sewer set that we made. And we did this using a green wash on gray to get that sort of algae effect. Yeah, resin printer could probably do a tree not too bad. And it has little troughs that we put some liquid trails in. So let's see. Yeah, we have this big sewer set we've built. Thank you. Yeah. And we did this liquid effect with just a little trail of epoxy that we let dry to create that liquid look without making it sticky still. But yeah, I mean, a resin printer would be that's a thing we've been looking at and talking about for ages. Sewer sort of piping as well on that piece. If I can get it to focus. These cameras never really love focusing the way I want them to. So these are all things we 3D printed as well. We also did these like river tiles. So as you can see, they're very wet looking. On a little embankment, and we have a bunch of these that you can just sort of train together, make a larger river. To do that, we actually use what's called realistic water. It's made for, this is also made for train sets. So, you know, we've done a lot of different things over time. Yeah, those are just coming out really dark, aren't they?
So before I do more,
why don't you wipe those down a bit?
Yeah.
See how much you can pull off.
Yeah, not much comes off. I think these are too dark.
I think we need to not use any more of this wash. It's just settled too much over time.
Yeah, I'm just going to let these dry, and then I will make them gray again.
Repaint them.
Just repaint them, yeah.
Just because we want this consistency across. These ones are okay, because...
Yeah, but even after watering this down,
yeah.
There's just way too much pigment.
So, sometimes that happens. Yeah. I
wanted to stop after 6, so I didn't have to, anyway. I'm going to wash the stuff out.
Alright, Alright, well, you grab me... I'm gonna open up the bottle. Would you grab me a new brush or a new glove when you come back? Thanks. So, the nice part is with painting any model like this is if something comes out the way you don't quite like it, what we're talking about is this, the bottom of the bottle had too much pigment in it. So when we hit the bottom, it came out too dark for the consistent look that we want. It sort of stands out. So we're just going to repaint the couple that got too dark. Yeah, I actually like it too. It's got this cool dark rock look. But since we're looking to use these all in a set, we want to make them sort of all look the same. But it is a cool look. Like, it looks like some evil, like, Demon King's lair, like castle sort of thing. But yeah, since we don't know exactly how these are going to be used, we want to make them look a little more... Got it. Alright. Make them look a little more generic than they necessarily should. Thanks.
Yeah. So, these will take a while to dry. Yeah, might not even be able to repaint them today. We'll see.
But we have plenty of other pieces to paint.
I can start working on
So, to give an idea of... I'm probably going to regret moving the camera, but we have, this is a little funky, all of these pieces. There's a huge stack over here. Yeah, that was a dangerous move. I did it though, mostly. Alright. That's a little behind the scenes tour. We have like probably about 100 more pieces to paint, so. And then I just need to figure out where I set my glove. Was that it? Did I throw it over there? No.
That's the used one. The one I just gave you, you mean?
Yeah. Oh. I dropped it on the floor. Alright. Yeah. There we go. And because we're using so much wash, it's gonna get on our hands, so wearing gloves just to protect it. And I opened a bottle too. Did I hand you the bottle, or did I just like hide it somewhere?
I don't have it.
I hid it over here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over the place today.
So I'm going to be painting
I'm just giving this a shake.
Crates and barrels and chests.
Oh, you're working on those now?
Yeah, I'm going to work on those. Since my effort at that didn't get that one.
So, to show people what he's working on, let me get a selection. We have some little doodads that we printed. Here's a selection of crates, barrels, and chests that he's gonna be getting in.
I'm going to be painting them various shades of brown.
Oh yeah, I hear you on the not normally on Twitch, but COVID made me get into it more. Yeah, we kind of started this channel because of COVID, because we played with our friends, played D&D a lot regularly, and then when COVID hit, we stopped, but we still wanted to play, so we started getting set up for sort of a digital, just playing privately digitally. And by the time we started getting it all together, we were like, well, we could stream what we're doing. And it kind of went from there. So now, and we had bought the 3D printers just before COVID, like I'd say 2 months before. Well, the first 3D printer. And it was just all right, you're doing those, so you don't need the black wash. It was just sort of, well, you know, we have this stuff. Let's just try it out and do it. And we've been doing it ever since, and having a great time doing that. So.
Oh, I'm going to do the crates first. I'll put it on the end of a stick there, so I can hold it while I'm painting it. I'm going to paint it solid brown. If we want to do them metallic edges, we can paint over some of them or not. And we have a choice of several brown colors. We have flat brown, red brown, and flat earth. What do you think?
Most of the crates that I've done are done in flat earth.
Flat earth? This one?
And I would say, why don't you do them in flat brown?
These crates?
Yeah. That's a good color. Yes, COVID did shoot the prices of 3D printers. It shot the prices of so many weird things up. Like, that makes sense once you start to think about it, but, like, you just don't expect it. So, we did a lot of outdoor work to our house, cleaning things up, and the price of lumber went, like, through the roof, because everyone was either repairing their houses or building new houses or things like that. And we were able to buy the lumber that we needed right before the prices went haywire, and would have just priced us out of being able to do the work we did.
On the staircase.
Like anything that's sort of yeah, it's still expensive. Like we've had to put off projects because of that, because of the price. Like we were planning to build a fenced-in dog run for our puppy, and that's been on hold until, because it's like, yeah, exactly. It used to be like, oh yeah, we can put up a fenced run for almost nothing, and now it's like triple, quadruple the cost to do it. So that's been on hold. Any sort of indoor hobby, like 3D printing or model painting, the prices of model paints skyrocketed. You couldn't find them anywhere for a long time.
Yeah, it was impossible to find some colors.
Or just like the primer was hard to find for a good long time. I know outdoor equipment, like running equipment and camping equipment, that all went through the roof. And it all makes sense, but it's just like, I wasn't quite ready to not be able to buy primer or wood. You know, simple things that we use fairly regularly, but suddenly everyone else decided they were using it too because they're stuck inside. Can't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, wood prices almost tripled.
Yeah,
I think they're down to like a little less than double now.
Yeah,
what they were,
which is still more than we necessarily want to pay.
So the work we did outside was done mainly with stone and cement blocks.
Yeah, we did a lot of cement blocking. We've been reworking the whole yard over the summer.
And even the cement blocks
were hard to find.
So I'd go online to the store where you were buying them, the hardware outlet, about every couple of weeks. And I would buy all of the ones within delivery distance.
Buy all the bricks in the area.
So this week I can get 243 of them.
How much can we get done with that? Yeah, basically, sort of like the kind we use aren't cinder block. What are they?
No, they're called paved stone. They're made for building walls.
Yeah, building short walls. But they're sort of in that vein.
Yeah. So suddenly we were, and then I go on 2 weeks later and get 113 of them, and then I go on 2 weeks later and get another chunk.
I'm moving some of the drier pieces out of the way so I can make room for the next pile. Yeah. So doing outdoor work has been rough. Doing indoor work has been... There's just been a lot of weird shortages with COVID. And we had to wait to buy our second 3D printer to let the price drop down again because of COVID. So it's always weird. I remember at the start when, I don't know if you're in the US, but we live in the US, and at the start of COVID, it was like the printers that we use here, I want to say retail for $900, but we bought them, I want to say like $700. We use a FlashForge Creator Pros, or what they're called. We were able to get them on sale, so they weren't quite as expensive, a couple hundred off, I think. And it's sort of a high-end beginner, I would say, like, printer. It's not like an industrial printer where if we're successful in an Etsy store, we would probably upgrade.
Yeah, I think the quality is good, but they're quite slow.
The quality is very good. They're actually fast for a PLA deposit printer. And you can always change the resolution. Oh yeah, I mean metal printers that I know the this FlashForge Pro can do metal. I can't vouch for its quality because I've never printed it in metal. But it definitely, if you're doing anything that you want some sort of detailing on, you have to anneal it in a oven, because it deposits in layers, so you get that layering in metal. And if you're doing like a character figure, for example, in D&D, and you want to get that smooth look, that's when you have to use the oven. I don't know if you're just building accessories and grips and stuff like that, if that would be as big a deal. I've never looked into it, so. But yeah, it's like it's an interesting thing I've always wanted to do. Did I get a dark spot somewhere? I've been kind of covered in paint today. I'm all over the place right now. But I'm okay if I have some dark spots on the floor like this. I'll smooth it out a bit more, but you know, not all floors are gonna be clean, so. But I have paint all over me. Oh, like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, on the bend of the piece. Yeah. Well, you know, variation is fine. And as it dries, it will get a little lighter. Too. So when I'm trying to get like it's kind of weird, a variation within a uniformity, where it all looks like it's part of the same structure, but it also varies from itself. And with a piece this large, I'm gonna be going back over it a fair amount and altering it. There we go. I don't know if you can hear that, but someone is moving chairs above us.
Vacuuming.
Is that what's happening? Some vacuuming upstairs?
Yeah. So do you want, I did 3 in this darker brown. Do you want the rest in the same color? Or should we...
Go with whatever you feel like. You can do red crates. They can be painted.
Yeah, they can. I'm going to do some barrels and then change colors.
You have to be careful. If we paint the barrels red, we will definitely assume they're full of explosives. Because that's how it works in video games. Any container that's bright red is guaranteed to explode.
Maybe I'll paint one red.
Just one?
2 maybe. What we got here? We got 4 of them. 5. Now I paint 2 of them red.
Why don't you paint one red?
Okay.
Just a single red barrel for fun.
And I'm going to do the bands and wood as well.
You don't want to do iron bands?
Well, yeah, but we can come back and do the iron bands.
Yeah, just paint the whole thing. Get the base coat on.
It's easier to get the base coat even everywhere.
Let's see. I'm gonna, since I'm working on such a large piece, I'm gonna set it back and sort of look at it, make a little adjustments as it dries here. Because I think a little like variation in the floor and stuff is good, but I don't want anything that looks stand out. And I'll sort of compare it to another part. Yeah, I think this will do okay. Yeah, thanks for checking us out.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
And if you want to see any of these pieces in action, our Twitch stream with our D&D game is Sundays at 2 p.m. and Eastern. And we also have them up on YouTube. So, yeah, thanks for coming. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good rest. All right. Get this other big
Yeah,
No, we're up in Michigan, so not down in Virginia, but I've been down in Virginia. It's pretty nice. But no, we're up in the snowy wastes of Michigan.
Lately, Virginia's had more snow than we have.
Oh, that's true. Which is pretty weird.
Yeah, I don't know how much snow they got in the last storm, but they just got hit with another storm, especially along the coast. We've been pretty quiet here.
I haven't gone fishing in the Great Lakes in a while. When did we do that big boat charter?
Oh, the salmon thing?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that must have been at least like 12 years ago.
But I was more when I did a lot more fishing. I preferred river fishing. You know, just sort of. I'm not a huge fan of being over deep water. I have a little bit of a phobia about it. So I like the sitting on a bank, sort of fishing.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Off a dock or something.
Off a dock, on a riverbank, things like that. It's a little more relaxing for me. I don't do well with oceans, and I'm good in the Great Lakes up to a point, and then it gets a little too deep for me.
Yeah, so you're good until like about 4 feet?
Yeah.
That's the point.
But I can handle it, and I do enjoy it. Yeah, that's very true. Some of the rivers can get really deep too, actually. And we've done some smaller lake fishing and like little aluminum boats and stuff up north in Canada, and that's pretty fun, catching pike mostly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like to be somewhere where I know the Great Lakes aren't so bad because I know there aren't like sharks and stuff in them. You know, the worst thing in the Great Lakes is a sturgeon. So, that's a little easier for me. and rivers are okay because I can see the bank and I could swim to it usually. But man, like even just like flying over the ocean. Yeah, we do get huge sturgeon. That is true. Like the 100-year-old ones are pretty large, but they don't usually attack people like a shark.
No, they eat stuff off the bottom.
But I do know sharks don't really attack people either, but it's one of those sometimes phobias aren't rational situations. Yeah. But no, my wife loves to go down to the beach and just like do beach activities on the Great Lakes, especially on the west coast of Michigan where it's sandier. We have all the dunes. It's a little more rocky on the east side of the state. But yeah, I like a nice relaxing sort of fishing when I do it. I grew up doing like just fishing like bluegills and stuff, you know, out of like the local rivers, local ponds and rivers. So, although it's been a while since we've done it, we've been so busy all the time that we haven't gotten out and done stuff like that
No, it's been ages.
In a while. We do these painting streams on Tuesday and Friday from 3 p.m. Eastern to about 5. We're probably gonna go for another half hour or so today. And then we do my wife and I do video game streaming in the evening sometimes as well. But if you follow our channel here, you know, it should let you know updates, but we usually go 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern for the painting, Tuesdays, Fridays. Our D&D stream is 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, and that's usually 3 or 4 hours. And then we'll do video game streaming starting around 8 or 9 p.m. on the weekdays in the evening and going till like midnight or so. It's sort of our relaxation time. So, yeah, if you're interested in seeing any of it, we'd love to have you come and chat with us anytime. And thanks for dropping by today.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe see you Tuesday. Maybe see you Sunday.
Who knows? We'll see. Alright. I'm moving into... Oh, I missed some windows here. Whoops, they were hiding from me. I have some windows and arrow slits.
Yeah, that fresh bottle is working a lot better.
Yeah.
That last block...
That last little bit of
that was just
wash,
not good.
Just
ruined.
We should have
ruined
just
6 tiles.
Well, they're not ruined. They just
they just have to be redone. But it was good to stop before it went too far.
Yeah, these are pretty sticky from drying. All right, I'm gonna get these arrow slits and windows done for sure. And that will leave me with just walls and floor tiles. These are the floor tiles, just the centerpieces here. So.
This jar is almost done.
Is that flat earth or red brown?
Red brown.
I think we got a new red brown right here.
Mm-hmm.
We replaced that because that one was getting low. Alright. And that's why you have to be constantly conscious about the consistency of your paint, right?
Yeah. When it gets down to the bottom.
This one's a little on the dark side, yeah.
Yeah, this red brown is.
If you're gonna repaint them, I might just redo that one as well.
One too.
Just so they're consistent, you know. If it's too dark, like this one, I think we could get away with not redoing. It's a little darker.
Yeah, but it won't look too weird.
But it won't stand out as much as those. And that was one I painted in the bottom, but then immediately wiped clean.
Mm-hmm. If you want, I'll just throw it in with the rest. I'll just repaint it.
Yeah, well, since we're redoing some already. Yeah. If we weren't redoing some, I'd say don't worry about it.
But since we're doing 7 others anyway.
Exactly.
So I'm just doing half of the crates in a different brown, just so there's some variation. And then some crates, they have these corner and cross braces. We can either leave them wood, and when you put a black wash on them, they really kind of stand out. Or
make them iron bars.
We make them iron.
Yeah.
With the chests, those are definitely iron-bound chests.
Or brass. I did brass on the other ones of that.
Oh, yeah,
but we could do iron.
Too. And then the barrel hoops will be metal
iron.
As well. So the next step will be, after these dry, to do the metal colored highlights. And then
no, it actually might be nice for the chest, the crates. So like on these red brown ones that you're doing, do the flat brown for the cross braces.
The dark brown, you mean?
Yeah, and then the lighter on the cross braces,
yeah.
So that they're wood crates. They're all wood. Because we have a lot of the metal bound ones already.
Yeah, but it really shows.
But it will stand. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, when one of these dries, if one of the darker brown ones, once those are dried, I might, since I have this color out, maybe I'll do that on one of them just to see how it looks.
Yeah, I think that might be a nice.
And if it looks good, then we can do more, and if it doesn't, then.
Because we never really, we have a lot of the iron crossbeam ones, but we don't have
any contrasting wood color.
No contrasting wood. We have a couple all the same wood color, which were some of the first ones we did as a test. But I think a contrasting wood would look really nice, actually. And not everything's gonna call for a big metal crate,
No.
Got a little moist from when I spilled the water. Any impassable iron? Yes, we do have impassable iron bars too. Right here. See? Impassable.
They are. We discovered that over and over and over again. One thing our D&D party is not able to do
is get through iron bars.
Any kind of bars.
Yep.
Apparently, no matter what they're made of, really. We just can't, we can't do it.
Yeah, dimension door to the other side. And then what?
I don't know anybody who would be foolish enough to go through an impassable
barrier. Technically speaking, if you dimension door through the bars, and I just turn into a mouse as a druid and go through the bars,
yeah, like
it's actually Ulseth's problem, not our problem, because he's not able to get through.
Yeah, I can just wave to you.
Or you have to bend the bars and get through with your immense strength.
Mm-hmm. Which never works when I need it to.
Well, even with a crowbar or raven bar, it's not the easiest thing if you're... Well, yes, I could put him in the bag, but, you know... That would involve actually getting him to go into the bag. Although that begs an interesting question. When I shapeshift, anything I'm wearing, including the bag of holding, can just be like kind of absorbed into the animal, and it's like it's with me but not usable as I'm in the animal shape. If you have someone in the bag and then I turn into like a cat, but they're in the bag when I do it, are they like in my spleen as a bag? These are the big questions. Big D&D thoughts. You shapeshift with someone in a bag of holding while you're holding the bag of holding.
What happens to the...
Yeah, it's like Animorph style. Where it's like Soria, Rat Soria, more Rat Soria, even more Rat Soria, Rat. The old Animorph, like, holographic covers. I should definitely do that.
You're gonna put the captain in the bag?
Oh, you're not willing to test this theory?
No.
But you're willing to sacrifice the captain to test the theory?
Yeah.
Wow. What's your moral code?
Don't get into a bag of holding.
Never get into a bag of holding?
No, there might be. No, wait a second.
What?
You're saying sacrifice the captain as though you know that something bad to the captain will happen. So if I would be willing to sacrifice the captain, why would I be willing?
Willing to potentially sacrifice the captain.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah. No one goes in the bag while you change into a rat.
I'm just curious, because they're not, like, in the bag. Technically, they're in, like, a pocket dimension that the opening to which exists where the bag is. So I assume the pocket dimension doesn't get changed, probably, in that process. It just becomes inaccessible.
Yeah, but isn't there a limited amount of, like, breathable atmosphere or something?
Yeah, but you've got, like, 15 minutes per the rules to breathe in there. And they've actually... If you actually break down scientifically and mathematically, you have, based on this space inside the bag, and if you let it fill completely with air beforehand, which it presumably would be, you technically have way more breathable air than just 15 minutes. You have, like, you could do, like, a day in the bag without suffocating.
That could be a title of a whole episode.
But I think
a day in the bag.
But I think that they intentionally made it so it's only like 15 minutes, so that you can't do too much stupid with it. Because otherwise you could do a lot of stupid with a bag of holding. More. a supplemental reading on the laws of pocket dimension rules? You know, there probably is, but I feel like it's rife for opinion.
Wouldn't it be included in this new book of everything?
There's
two books of everything.
So. Xanthar's Book of Everything and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything do not cover the pocket dimensional rules.
Then it's really not everything, is it?
Well, it depends on I'm not getting into a argument about definitions of everything again, but
that wasn't everything, it was thing.
But everything, I think, in this sense, wouldn't refer to a pocket dimension because everything would be planarly based. Like everything in the material plane.
Well, why don't they just want
pocket dimension NFTs? That's is that a 9 fungible token?
Everybody's doing NFTs now. Twitter, I think.
Yeah.
We'll sell you a hexagon instead of a circle.
Yeah.
Is that how I read it? And if you're in a hexagon, then you're an NFT. If you're in a circle, you're not.
Yeah, except they're not even like verifying it properly. So you can sort of like it doesn't even work the way it's supposed to work, which is pretty funny. You could, if you're willing to pay Twitter, you could definitely steal someone's NFT. Because Twitter's not doing it to promote NFTs, they're doing it to profit and get extra personal data out of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest.
No, they're doing it so that you can profit from your art or something.
They're doing it so that you can definitely pay them a monthly fee to have a different shape. You haven't found anyone bad enough at art to do 9 fungible tokens?
You have to rent your NFT? You don't just do a one-time payment?
Well,
you have to pay a maintenance fee for storage.
You have to use Twitter Blue, which is a monthly service, in order to qualify for the right to purchase the hexagon.
And if you stop your subscription, your hexagon
goes away.
Disappears.
Yeah.
Because it's, real.
Super real. Basically, it's all very stupid. That's the short version. Although I did love, there's a bunch of people linking an Onion article from 2018 in response to it. That was a joke article about how Twitter is implementing... Exactly. Twitter was implementing a new symbol to go next to people who it's morally okay to harass online. And people are just like, oh, this is what that article was about. In the article, it was like a little red X next to someone, and it was like, they were like posting like, I love like starting off the morning right, and they had a picture of coffee, and it was just a bunch of people like yelling at them in response, on Twitter. Was sort of the joke article, but that's effectively, it isn't a joke article if it comes true, exactly. So nothing's a joke article anymore.
No.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people setting up things like that where you can just automatically block or mute the people who have that, and they just no longer exist in your timeline instantly. which I think is a nice way to go. Because you're not going to improve anything by dealing with that. And which you're gonna paint this barrel bright red so that it's an explosive barrel. Is that the
I could either do the bright red or the scarlet red.
I think you should do bright red.
Bright red?
Yeah, that'll really show how explosive the barrel is.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. And I'll just hide it in scenes so that Nines can be like, I'm going to shoot the red barrel with the explosives in it, and Lexi will be like, what are you talking about? And then she'll have, but by the rules, if it's a red barrel, it explodes. If anything touches it, ever.
Those are the universal red barrel rules, right?
Yeah.
I'd gotten out a smaller brush. And what I'm doing is I'm painting the corners and cross-hatching with the contrasting
wood color.
Brown color. See how it looks, and if it looks good, then I'll do the...
And once you umber wash that, I think it'll really stand out. Whew. Getting through a whole lot of dungeon tiles today. My glove is very sticky from all the wash that's on it. And what are we at? I think we're having a little, I don't know if we're still coming through, but I'm getting a little red signal that we're having some streaming issues, some internet connectivity issues. Hopefully it's still coming through alright. At least it's still recording fine, but, yeah, sorry if there's a little bit of a garbling going on. It looks like it's popped back to green. I'm gonna try and get through these 9 tiles here. Maybe. With what I got. See how far I can get. We're closing in at 5 o'clock.
What do you think?
It looks pretty good to me. Here, I'll hold it up. I like that look, you know.
Well, let me do the other 2 then. And I can do the other ones in the contrasting.
In the reverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because we have a lot of crates with nice number. 9. 9 of these. Yeah, exactly. What was I saying? We have a lot of iron-bound crates, but you know, I feel like having nothing but iron-bound crates would be too much. So getting some wood-braced ones like that is sort of a nice alternative. Alright. Whew. checking the time. We have about 10 minutes left on our stream today. If I can do one of these a minute, I should be just fine, time-wise.
Yeah, I should just have time to finish these 2 crates, and then I think I'll pull out the red paint and just do that barrel anyway.
Yeah, just get the red barrel painted.
Mm-hmm. Unless you want to save it for the next show.
No, you can get the base coat in, for sure. I think you should definitely do the bright red because, you know, the brighter the red the barrel, the more explosive it is. Those are just the rules. And Lexi won't even know about it because, well, you know, she doesn't watch what we're doing, and we can sneak it in. I'm gonna need a tiny bit more black wash to get through all of this. Alright. I think the dungeon set's coming along pretty nicely, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I think it's looking good.
I think I might be able to get through it in one more day. Not counting those pieces that are a little too dark and need to be redone.
Yeah, those are gonna sit until the
paint's dry. Stream. Yeah, because they need to dry quite a bit.
Yeah, the stuff that's on there is pretty gooey.
But that's okay. You can always repaint, and that's what we'll be doing.
Yeah, we'll get to show the viewers how it's possible to just completely redo something. We've talked about it, but we've never really done it. That can be part of the narrative. We talked about how you can just paint over your mistakes, and now we're going to show you. It wasn't actually a mistake, but it's the residue on the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that happens. We've been using that bottle for months, because it was a larger bottle. And, well, economical, you know, yeah. It settles over time no matter how often you stir it. And
with those Vallejo squeeze bottles,
you can't really.
It's hard. I mean, you can take the tops off and stir it with a toothpick, but it's not like these Tamiya's where it's wide bottled and you can.
Yeah, you can't just stick a toothpick in easily and stir it up. And by that point, so much had collected on the bottom that there wasn't much to stir it into.
No.
Either. So, really not a big deal. Just a slight annoyance at work. Alright, 4 more balls to go. Going from this sort of very bright gray to a nice dark stone. Yeah, we'll tear the walls down. Exactly. Well, Seth, you can use your head to batter down a wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You weren't using it anyway. Right? Although, to be fair, your character has a higher intelligence score than 9s.
Yep. So. Actually, by quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, I think you have a positive.
Mm-hmm.
Although, Soria is the most intelligent in the group right now.
Yep.
The whopping +3.
It's pretty good, though, compared to +1 or -1.
Are you +1?
Mm-hmm. That's my charisma.
That's weak.
Yeah, there's not much of that.
Soria doesn't have much in the way of dexterity, strength, or constitution. So, you know. It balances out.
We have a well-balanced group that managed to somehow stay alive, largely because of
the captain.
Yeah, and your crowd control.
Yeah.
And well, actually, 9's crowd control too.
9's does quite a bit of debuffing of the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Very effectively.
If you put 9's intelligence on its side, it's infinite. Yeah, so 9's, you just have to lie down more.
That shouldn't be hard.
Maybe we should get you like a little, well, I could turn into like an elk or something and you could just lay down on the back and just take a cat nap while we move around. Done. Well, in honor of 9's, I have one more tile set to do, tile piece, after this, and that will be the 9th one in that little group. Yeah, cool cat. With sunglasses. Just one more to do, and we will be at 9 of those in that little set of them that I've been painting. Whew. It's a lot of dungeon pieces I painted today. The barrels and crates are looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Are you working on the red barrel now?
Yeah, I'm going to finish up today with the red barrel.
So we're using a flat red Tamiya paint to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the glossy red, is it?
No.
Okay.
You want a glossy red?
Do I what?
You want a glossy red?
No, we'll do flat red.
You don't want to
be shiny. That'll give it away too much.
Oh yeah.
Our secret plan.
Nobody will notice that this is red.
Yeah. We have to be subtle about hiding explosives on the battlefield. Okay. Whew. There's the last dungeon tile today for me. So, all I have left are, I'd say, 20 more of these. And about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. About 75 of these floor tiles. And then the those once they're repainted as well. But I'm gonna quickly go wash my brush.
This might need 2 coats. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it looks like it could use a second coat. That red was always a little transparent.
Yeah, I think the pigment on the bottom needs to be stirred into it.
We haven't used the red in a long time.
No.
But just give it another coat later.
Yeah, I'll let that dry.
So we have
give it a second coat, and after I stir it from the bottom.
But now I'm in cleanup mode, and it's just after 5.
I'm done.
I'm gonna wrap things up. You might have gotten some red on that barrel. Neighboring barrel.
Yeah, it's on the
spar.
Yeah, the little hoop.
The hoop.
So it'll get painted over.
Thank you everyone who came by to watch. Our next thing will be our main D&D show on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, so feel free to check that out. If you want to see more of this painting, find us here on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern is our next one of these. And yeah, thank you everyone for dropping by. We will be seeing you soon.